It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Hey, welcome back to Baseball 101. I'm excited, as you can see. Well, actually, no, my excited face and sad face, and they're all the same, but I am excited. It just always looks the same. I've been criticized by some sitting in this room, but it's okay. It gets the job done. I'm just here to, ask them questions. Now, who them is really the exciting part for me, because now we're back to, I told you last week with Eric Goff, we were sitting here talking about our coaching staff, and our coaching staff is now sitting here, and as you can see, there's only two compared to the current staffs of 5 and 6 that high schools have. I had my high school coach, Coach Kasper, who's on the end down there. I'm guessing you would know that because most of you know Tony Perkins, who's sitting next to me as well. So just a little background on these guys. This is kind of fun because they were my teachers and they were my coach. So now I get the main mic. It's kind of fun. A little scary for them, I'm sure, but that's okay.
I'm a little worried about it.
You should be.
There's still polls.
Yeah, I just can't run them anymore. Coach Kasper, for those that don't know, and I only know the basics here, you coached at Howell for 16 years, 13 as a head coach, correct?
I did. That is correct.
So that started in 78 to 94. So I got to see.
Done some work.
All that reading. So in that time, you won 6 conference championships and went to 2 Final Fours.
Correct. Had some good teams.
Yeah, see? I'm starting out strong. I got the facts correct. Then he was AD at Central for, I don't know, a long time.
13.
So he's got his own little corridor right there. Looks good. And then Coach Kasper, most of you know, but he's took over for Coach Kasper in 95 through 2025 with 18 conference titles, 11 Final Fours, and 4 state championships. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
That was a lot of numbers to count.
Close enough.
I've always said that's another level.
Trying to count. But now the interesting parts, the link, I mean, Coach Kasper actually played at Howell starting back in the 70s, was part of the first GAC team that played in the first Howell team to play in the GAC in 1971. Correct?
Correct.
So we have covered from 71 until 2025, all except for 3 years, were you in college. So
4.5 to be exact.
4.5.
Okay.
That's okay. You got through. And in that time, Coach Burbis was the head coach, who was my Legion coach, and all of us knew very well. So miss Coach Burbis. He was a wonderful, wonderful guy, wonderful coach. So, but the whole reason they're on here, and the thing I've been wanting to do for a while, is go back and for the players today understand, like the GAC, what you see today with the power baseball, and really to me the best conference in the state for baseball, not just the South, but also the Central and the North. It didn't start out being a power conference. Like it started out with 5 teams, and it wasn't really a baseball conference for a while. It took a little time to get that going, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Now, thing I've been waiting to do, they gave me tests many times over the years as a student, so now I'm going to quiz them on some GAC history, see how much you know, see how much they know. Some of it's, they're all easy questions. So
you got the 70s, brother.
So in that first, I
a friend.
You can. Anyway? I'm not going to make fun of your technology skills.
Oh yeah.
By the way, the AOL.
We got plenty of time.
The AOL email. I didn't realize Coach Perkins is also AOL.
Absolutely. That's right, brother.
I taught him well.
If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
It works. Yeah. So I mentioned the GAC started in 70-71 with 5 teams. Can you two name those 5 teams?
Probably. Go ahead.
Let's start with Francis Howell.
Got one?
Fort Zumwalt, Duchesne, Wentzville.
St. Charles.
Nope. Orchard Farm.
Correct. St. Charles was incorrect. Thank you. That's close.
Took a guess.
It's 5. I thought St. Charles, and actually
Orchard
I talked
Farm.
to
Coach Agnew.
yeah, Archerville, right
Yeah.
there. Actually, I asked,
That's why he's my mentor.
I asked Coach Malloway today, who started. He also said St. Charles. He missed Archer Farm, so that's why he's here now. Who was the first program to win the conference championship? Do you know this one?
Yeah, I got it written down right there.
Who is it?
Us.
Francis Howell. You are correct. See, you got that one. But do you know which conference team was the first to win a state championship?
St. Charles.
What's your guess on this one?
Got to go with him. St. Charles.
Duchenne.
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 In 84.
84.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
Which goes
that's my
along-
wife's class. That's what I know.
What's he
that.
looked
And
at
you missed that?
I know.
Redeem yourself with your Duchenne knowledge right here, though. The first coach of the year came from Duchenne. Who was that coach of the year in the conference?
Jaeger.
Correct.
Ted Yater.
So Ted, he was coach for a long time, and then he was the AD over there, correct?
Yes.
So
Came to church by himself every weekend.
So Duchenne, what people might not know, that unless you looked, I don't know why you would, but Duchenne really dominated the 70s. They won like 5 straight conference championships. Then 83, they were in the Final Four, and 84, they won the first state championship. So that was the first time any GAC school had made it. Now, you mentioned St. Charles joining the GAC. Do you know what year that happened?
I defer to the power.
St. Charles and St. Charles West.
St. Charles before West, though, I would say.
When it came to the conference, about the same time.
Oh. It's a good one.
Boy, I'm not real sure on that one. Early 80s.
78, 77, 78.
Okay.
To late 70s. So the conference started with 5, and then it expanded to St. Charles West, and it stayed that way until Howell North opened in 88, 7?
87.
So late 80s, and then obviously it's grown. Today there's 18 teams and 3 divisions, and very different than it was back when this started. Okay, easy one. First player drafted out of the GAC.
Steveners. Well, Dale got drafted out of high school.
I'd go with Dale.
Dale Stevener, 1972. So there's only been 2 position players drafted out of high school and signed. One, Dale Stevener, 1972 as an outfielder. You know the second one?
Position player?
Yep. There's only been 2 from Francis Howell.
Oh, from Francis Howell.
Yeah, let me narrow that one down there for you.
Darin Cissell.
Titus Cissell. Try to give you an easy one. You coached him it was just 2 years ago. That's okay.
Right.
I was going deep.
I know you were thinking not recent stuff, but this one actually surprised me. And there was a lot of things on here that surprised me, but Francis Howell has the most professional players that have played out of our conference. Do you know which school has the second most professional players that have played professionally?
I might say Zumwalt South.
That's a quality guess.
Is that right?
No. But that's a great guess.
Are we talking baseball only?
Baseball only.
Okay.
Professional baseball players from the GAC school.
I don't think it's Zumwalt West.
I'm going to go back to St. Charles High.
Close, also quality. Francis Howell North.
Okay.
See, that's the same face I had.
Burley's the only one I can think of.
Daryl Jeffries,
Cubs.
Wart. Well, I have the whole list here. I go
Howard,
through-
Littleward.
Yeah, I mean there were some names on there that I was like, yeah, sneaky 11. I think we have 15, 16.
Something like that.
So they're 11. Now, Francis Howell's played in the most Final Fours by a lot. Who's played in the second most Final Fours?
North had 2. Zumwalt West is probably 3 or 4. Duchenne, I don't think so.
Well, Duchenne left the conference, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
Because 2024 they won it, but they weren't in our conference, so it
Went
doesn't count.
St. Charles. I'm not sure. Did I mention him?
No, but you mentioned him last question.
Ooh.
Zumwalt South.
Zumwalt South. Zumwalt South and St. Charles both have the same amount while in the conference. St. Charles had one before the conference started, I think 65. But You're doing pretty good. Not bad. I give you one more.
Okay.
Don't worry, Tony. We're going to get our shot.
At some point here.
I'm kind of pissed I didn't get those right.
That's a lot of information. I mean, it's
Right.
been, GAC's been, what, 55 years now? 54?
It's been a long time.
Like, that's a long time. This one, I'm curious how many you can name. There's only been 3 GAC players that have signed and primarily played shortstop at the professional level. There's only been 3.
Ty's one.
Ty's 1. There's 2 other. And you know them.
I know him. Wooden Street.
They aren't from Howell.
I'm not from Howell. Shortstops.
You coached them growing up.
I coached him growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit here and wait.
You were position player
Position player in our conference that was drafted and
as
played.
a position player?
played shortstop at the professional level.
So I was going to say Devin Williams, but he ended up
What do
being pitcher.
you're not off the hook here.
Right.
You were the AD for this kid. His dad was the coach at Howell Central.
Okay, we're going with Ray.
Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard played shortstop, and then another one from Timberland, Shane Cooper.
Cooper.
So
He's
those,
playing softball with my son.
and you forgot him?
I just saw him last weekend.
Cooper, I hope you're watching. He forgot about you.
Sorry.
Ray, I hope you're not.
Sorry, Coop.
Now, in your defense, there's a lot of players over the years to sort through. So,
Yeah.
but it was surprising of all the great shortstops that have been in this conference. There's only 3 that have gone on to play professionally at that position. There have been several, like James Allen and Brett Graves, both went on a pitch.
Shortstops and pitchers.
And there have been other ones, like Nate Orff actually started in the major leagues at shortstop, but he wasn't even drafted.
He was a catcher for us.
Yeah. So poor coaching, apparently. But
We had a good team.
I
We had James Allen.
I would argue the best Howell team was that team, which I'll get to in a second. Anyway, okay, so we'll move along. I was just trying to see what you could remember. There's a lot
We've
of
argued
information.
about that one a lot.
We have, although I have the stats to back it up now. I'm curious. We talk about 70, 71. Obviously, you played on that team in 71 that won the conference championship. And it's funny, I was talking to some players the last couple of days at Howell and just asking them about what they thought about like baseball was in the 70s. They really have no clue. Like it, and it, no offense, that's why we're doing the show. Hopefully you can watch. And like, what fields were you playing at?
Do you know where that game was played at for the championship?
Blanchette?
Blanchette.
See, I got right here. Mostly I read the newspaper.
Do you know who recorded the last out?
Oh, jeez. I know. Didn't you hit like 350 that year, though?
I didn't say hitting. I said who recorded the last out.
Oh, it was you, Stevener. Was it
Yeah, I
fly ball?
called Steven off in left center and caught it in the valley of Blanchette of the old ballpark. Burbis usually tells that story, but
Since he wasn't, you called him off.
I didn't want him to run over me.
What position were you at?
I started at catcher and ended in the outfield.
So he was in center.
He was in the center.
The center fielder calls it.
He's a big
And
guy.
I don't know if he called it or not, but
Because my coach in high school taught me if the center fielder calls it, you get out of the way.
yeah, but Dale knew I had good hands.
So the facilities then, the fields, the facilities then compared to now, how would you even compare those?
You can't. I mean, of course, all dirt. Some of them not fenced. Most of them, a lot of the high schools didn't have their own field. Fort Zumwalt played out there at what is it, Westhoff or whatever out there.
Westhoff.
Yeah.
Was Wentzville at Fireman's?
Wentzville played at Fireman's a little bit. I think we played a little bit at the high school, but
And then Duchesne and St. Charles, I'm guessing they were still Blanchette.
they shared Blanchette.
And then Howell was at CNH.
Yes.
So there was no, and that's, I think, for the kids, they really struggle with, like, you didn't play at the school? Most schools didn't have fields.
Most did not.
So,
Of course, a lot of St. Louis County did, but
What year were we at CNH? Did you start playing down there? You remember?
what year did we start
Did
playing?
Howell?
like how
Oh.
in the 60s, 50s?
Years ago, the CNH ballpark was down off of
Yeah, different place. Down
Yeah.
94.
94 there behind White Castle there at
Yeah.
Prowley Lane. It was over up on that hillside there in that trailer park.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not real sure the year it moved to CNH. You would probably have a better since you've been around a little bit longer. But I played.
I know when we stopped playing
Yeah.
there, but I didn't know when
I
we
played
started.
I played little league at the old CNH, but high school.
So the old CNH, like the VFW hall back there, behind like Sonic and all that off 94.
There is a ball field at
Where Prowley
Yeah.
Lane, where Prowley's at, Prowley Lane.
Yeah.
Across the, what would that be? The north side, I'm going to say. There's White Castle.
Yeah, right back there.
94, right up. There's a church there, I think. There was
Yeah.
a church there.
Behind that church?
Yep.
I
That's where
learned
it
something
was.
right there. I had no idea that used to be CNH.
Yes.
Wow.
And Clarence moved it.
So Clarence moved it down to the current location, and that's where Howell started playing in the 60s, I'm guessing? Through
Yes,
the 70s, it was there.
Yes. I'm not real sure. My oldest brother was on the 63 and 64 team. I'm not real sure where I think they played at the old CNH, if I remember correctly. The one down on Prowley.
I know we were done 2013 there. I know that one.
Yeah, we were there a long time.
But yeah, I mean, of course, there's no comparison. But I mean, CNH, you wouldn't found a better dirt infield, and you played on it. There wasn't.
They had Clarence.
I mean,
No.
26, 27 years we got to host the
District.
districts.
And they still talk about that.
And
We haven't hosted districts in a long time.
well, maybe you need all dirt infield. I'm not going to lie to you. I think after seeing the grass infields compared to like what we played on CNH, I love the all dirt of CNH. I would rather play on that than some of the grass infields, just because the bounce coming, you could predict it. There was no lip, and at CNH you got good hops. At Blanchette, you had that rooster tail that would follow the ball. But you know what I'm talking about with the rooster. I mean, it would get so.
It's all dirt again.
Blanchette is now.
No, CNH.
CNH is.
Yeah.
I did not know. I haven't been by
Took
CNH.
up the grass.
Well, maybe that was a secret.
I
I don't know.
got all the fields ready today.
So the fields, obviously, not even close. Like Central now has turf, Troy has turf. Like the fields aren't even. But even if you get to the equipment, like bats. How many team bats did you have? Not.
Well, we had bought of course our own wooden bats, and we used to buy those down at Economy Auto or Sporting Goods down on Main Street in St. Charles. We'd go down the basement there, and they had racks that you'd pick them out. I think, again, my memory kicking in, but I think we may have had aluminum my senior year. But they,
Because once they went to aluminum, growing up, we only had like 3 bats for the team. Or for like you didn't have individual bats, which I know for the U players, they're like, I have 4 in my bag. Like,
Yeah.
you had 1, and the guy hit with it, and they handed it to you, and you hit again.
was that the old Green Easton?
Oh, yeah.
That was the hot ones.
Yeah.
No, Black Magic.
The Bumblebee.
The Black Magic was beautiful. Love the Black Magic. Look up Black Magic on your. I think they came back out like a retro version of those.
I think they did too.
They should. I mean, they're tremendous. I love those things. But I think the equipment, the fields, and even the coaching. Like I said earlier, there was 2 coaches. Like now there's. I mean, normally at Howell we had 4.
Usually.
In most teams, I mean, that's pretty normal. Just that alone, the coaching's so much better because you can specialize and have guys that can see more things.
You can get more done.
I mean, that's the goal. But as far as the quality of play going through the 70s and 80s, when did you see like baseball really start to become that quality of baseball go up and improve? Because in the 70s, there wasn't a lot of college scouts around. There wasn't a lot of professional scouts. Now that's pretty commonplace.
And that's correct, but again, you're going to go back to players are always going to be great players are always going to be good baseball players. I mean, you go back to the Roger Bands, as you mentioned, Kent Kaiser, that crew. I mean, there's with facilities of training that they have today or the equipment they have today, they wouldn't miss a beat.
So I had that conversation. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to ask you guys. I know my opinion, and I kind of hear what you're saying. But I had players being like, look, the players from the 70s, 80s, 90s, they couldn't compete with the guys today. And my response was pretty strong. What would you say to that?
Them kids back in the day, hard nuts, man. They're just tough. They just refuse to lose. I mean, they're tougher kids. back in the day than they are now. I mean, now, like Coach was just saying, I mean, specialization and, that kind of thing goes on, and they are great ball players. But these guys didn't have that kind of specialization. They just had the backyard or an empty lot or whatever else, and they get out there and come home with scraped knees and scraped elbows and whatever else, and probably had a fight or two along the way, but they're tough kids. I think that they would be just fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, with the training, I mean, the guy that just left the studio here, Brett Graves, if, some of those guys would have had the technology and the training that he's giving people and just, that exercise, I mean, sky would be the limit.
There's been scouts around, though. I mean, like, I always tell a story. Nick Wilfong, I can't remember the year that was.
Late 90s, because that was like Steve Collier in that Tankers League.
Yeah, that's all same class. But good friend of his, Keith Gutton, who was a head coach in Missouri State forever, is at C&H, standing behind third base, and Wilfong got a triple, and he goes, Coach said, I was coaching third base, and he told me the time. I said, "You got that?" He said, "Yeah, I can't remember what time it was because I never timed triples. Yeah. It got his attention. So I mean, he just slides in, and that's like one of the earliest coaches big time coaches. And Keith just kind of slid in and does his thing.
That along with someone like Nick, just he probably now would have played, came up and played as a freshman. I mean, there were very few freshmen that I brought up. But the funny story is he coaches, the last couple of years was coaching in my grandson's team.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit a few times to him that, man, what a mistake. And I always blame Perkins for that. He said, now let him stay down and let him develop.
He's a good player.
See right there, what you saw was blaming the assistant coach. For years it was that way, then it came this way. So just because you blame, it doesn't mean we don't love each other. It just means you butt heads with the assistant coach and head coach from time to time. But
that does happen.
It does, but at the same time, once you get on the field, we always had the same purpose.
Yeah. I was thinking, too, about earlier in the days, I mean, you might see more pro guys than college guys because, like Dale got drafted out of high school. There's, you had a better chance, I think. I don't know, maybe not better.
And that's what we only had.
Of going from high school into the minor leagues, I mean, I remember pro guys being around when I played, but I would see more pro guys than I would college guys.
Because we only had, from the conference, you had Roger, who was in the 60s. St. Charles High had some guys in the 60s. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. Stevener was 72, and then I don't think we had another high school sign until the 90s. Like high school, I mean, it was, like I asked earlier, like when that shifted. And I feel like, to me, the colleges and professional guys, the late 90s started coming around more because of what those early 90s teams did. Like we were in Final Fours in 91, 93, and St. Charles was there in 93.
Yeah, like, we were the Hick team in 91.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think, too, the growth, the movement from St. Louis County out to St. Charles County increased that a lot, too. I mean, when I was early in high school, I didn't even see the college coaches come out that area. But as we grew, St. Charles County grew, I mean, the baseball got better. The first high school game I think I coached in '82 was in the Parkway tournament, and we're playing Parkway West and get 10 runs, and I'm just like, wow, So I guess what I'm getting at is that we had to work, and make a name for ourselves, and then that started to expand.
Yeah, the paper was a big deal, and that's gone now. But you get all your information from the newspaper.
St. Charles Journal.
Yeah, or the Post. They'd have stats and they had box scores. You could see what's going on. Yeah. You don't have that no more.
You probably, the Banner News was even probably more than that too. You probably have some Banner News articles.
That's how you found out what was going on in the world.
But with the conference too, and this is backing up a little bit, but in the 70s, football was really starting to take off out here too. Francis Howell started the football program, so that was growing a lot of the attention too. So, baseball may not be getting as much attention.
So football in the 70s started to compete pretty well.
Yes.
The 80s, you had wrestling at Howell that dominated everyone. And really, and that's what I'm saying, baseball I felt like came much later than those two.
Correct.
Like even we went to Final Four in '91. I mean, the articles and things that went on there. I mean, it's like, who's Francis Howell? I mean, they're out there in the boonies, and we get to a Final Four, and then it was just a flash in the pan. But then we turn around and come back in '93. And now we're starting to maybe get a little more respect. You agree with this?
I agree.
I was assistant then, and he was the big dog, and then we just took off from there too. I mean, so it's tough.
And it wasn't just how that took off. The conference took off.
Yeah.
Because Zumwalt West came in a little bit later, but Zumwalt South started really doing well in the 90s. How you were in that group?
That was our biggest rivalry for a lot of years. When Tony Primo was there, those games at CNH or at Zumwalt South were not pretty, and it was they were our rival.
There's no Zumwalt South and Howell rivalry to me was the most intense rivalry I coached in.
Yeah, we don't even play them now.
And that's it's just funny how the conference it changes. I mean, Winsville Holt is I don't even know how many students they have now. They went from a dominant team that really competed in everything to now they're on the smallest side of the conference, which I would have never guessed. But I guess people would say that about St. Charles at one point that was huge, and now they're small. Goes in cycles.
I think and ours happened to be also, I think, with Francis Howell was the Francis Howell North game. I mean, there were days, nights we'd have a night game at CNH, and it would just be packed. And then at 6 o'clock when the beer could start flowing, it really got intense.
Those are South issues too.
Because the softball games were going on, so they could serve beer. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the CNH softball games really changed the dynamics of high school sports. But
okay,
it was fun.
On the questions, I'm sorry.
It was one of those one thing you miss from the old days. I'm guessing I do miss the Friday night. I know Beckman at Central is trying to do that. Is have more like Friday night games just to get a different atmosphere, which is cool. I wish everyone had lights and could do that because from parents being able to get off work and get out there at 4:15 early. The weather's a little bit better. It's a different crowd, which I wish we could still do, but unfortunately right now we can't.
Yeah, in the Southwest Missouri area where I'm at now, my son-in-law was coaching at Fair Grove. They'd actually do the the varsity game and then a JV game after it, and draw, but it'd be a evening game, and most of those schools have
even
lights.
Columbia does that. They'll do a varsity game and then they'll play like a 5-inning JV game, on the same night. So of course the varsity's gone.
No, but that's I think some of the things going around the state. I feel like St. Louis is behind. The way they're structuring games, the facilities. We're getting there.
I kind of agree with that because what I've been seeing facility-wise, even a lot of them are going to turf, but I don't know how many that I've been seeing lately has got indoors. I mean, they got indoor batting cages. They got places they can train. In St. Louis, we have that in the club ball scene. Not too many high schools have their own thing, because guys outstate always talk to me about, what do you do with your kids in the off season? I said, nothing. And they can't figure that out. But, what the landscape is, kids go with their club teams, and that's where they're getting their training. Mm-hmm. That's where they're lifting. That's where they're doing arm training. That's where they're hitting. They're getting video of them. They're doing everything that needs to be done. And if I do something like that, the guy's getting too much. And they feel like they have to come to me, and we start pulling against each other. And I don't do it no more. But the other people outstate, they don't have that, or unless they want to travel an hour and a half, so they have their own indoor facilities, and that's how they combat that. And that coach works his tail off to get his kids ready to play next level.
But I think that's a huge shift I've seen because it used to be playing multiple sports was easy. Now there's a draw.
Encouraged.
Yeah. And I think it benefited. I know it benefited me. I know you played multiple sports. You played we all played multiple sports. I liked putting the baseball down and picking up the football and going and playing football. And I feel like the kids today, they don't have that break that we used to have. Like when I say legitimately, when I set the baseball down in July from Legion, I didn't pick up a baseball until the first week of baseball, which was March, February, whenever we would start. And I wish that was different because I think more kids would play multiple sports, but there's
a lot of coaches that don't encourage them to let them play, other sports. But I've always said do it. And, I'm an example because I had 4 sons and they all played multiple 2 and 3 sports, and I agree with what you're saying as far as putting the ball down and getting something else, staying in a competitive atmosphere, or
Learning how to win is learning how to win.
just competing still, and you're staying in shape. I don't care if you're playing soccer, or you're wrestling, or you're basketball, or whatever else you're doing. That's fine, great, man. Go play football. I don't care, but do something where it's going to keep you in shape. And what you always say, well, the kid's going to get hurt in football. Well, man, it does. Does it happen? Yes. But I would say the majority of them, no.
Well, I feel like more kids are getting hurt at showcases in the winter than they're getting hurt playing other sports, or just as many. Like there's a lot.
They get
of
to the season and then they get hurt because they've been training all winter.
Correct.
That part I do miss the old school. That old school part of when it's baseball season is baseball. When it's football is football. When it's basketball is basketball. And
see, the thing with like Brett Graves was on here quite a bit, but that's his livelihood, and the kid's not playing another sport. I'm okay with them going in there and lifting and
staying busy
because they know what they're doing. That's for sure. They know a lot more than I do, but that's okay for them to go in there and get some training, get stronger, get bigger, get faster. That's always the goal every year. So, if they're not playing it, go ahead, man.
And they're hearing it from somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Not just you. I mean, they're that reinforcement, and kid that played for you, and follows that.
I get tired of them. They get tired of me. We need a break.
That's true. That's very true. It happens. Now, we've talked about Howell, and obviously we know Howell the best, but one thing I did think about, like getting ready to talk to you guys, like some of the coaches over the years that have built the GAC, some of the personalities that, they were staples within this count. Like, what are some of the coaches that have stood out that, whether it's a personality or their success, that are the most memorable? I'm sure I know some of your answers here, but
I'm just laughing because when I first hit the scene, I was running with Terry, and Terry, his buddies were the other coaches. In the conference. Larry Sheeney, Tom Emery, some of those.
Coach
guys.
Emery.
Yeah, him and Emery were really close. They ran camps down at CNH and.
What was All-Star? What was the name of that thing?
You know what? That was one of the things that kept me awake last
Baseball
night.
Center.
Baseball Center.
Uh-huh.
I've got before I left, I got a picture when we trout fish with my dad, and I got that T-shirt on down to Bennett Springs. But until I went and checked it out this morning, but the Baseball Center. Do you know? Trivia question: Who first owned the Baseball Center?
Bill Todd.
Oh, jeez.
Who was the guy from Arizona?
That
wasn't that guy?
I don't know.
I'll move it on for program purposes. Mark Littell.
Really?
Yeah, Tom bought the camp from
The
him
right-
about a year or two
Yeah,
ago.
Emery wanted me to buy it.
Yeah, he wanted me to. Yeah, he approached us both, and
No.
So those that know, Coach Emery was a longtime coach at Wentzville.
Uh-huh.
and a teammate of mine at Southwest Missouri State,
So
Rittner grad.
He was pretty vocal
Yeah.
as a coach.
yes, he was. He was entertaining.
And, he, in '90 he had a real good team too. He sent our butts packing.
Yeah.
I was at
Remember who that slugger was?
Who was it?
DJ.
Jolloff. Yeah. Oh, he was good. Jolloff was very good. Coach Jolloff. Yeah.
Fast too.
But yeah, Tom and I, there was, I'm gonna forget his name again now. Mike at Zumwalt West.
Reimer.
Coach Tank, we called him.
Remember was at Zumwalt North for a long time
Yes,
before he went to West.
Yes.
He was there with Brad Felderworth in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
So-
one to have.
Yeah. But you had Reimer, you had Emery, and to me, the biggest personality that I can remember in the conference by far is Coach Donahue.
Yes.
He was entertaining.
Exactly. But I got to know him later. The guys that started the conference, though, like the Larry Sheeneys and
Yeah.
those guys. You talk about a guy that you would look at and you think he's a baseball guy, but you talk about get the most out of his players and just give you fits. Now he had some good players, but
Sheeney introduced me
Where was she at?
to our St. Charles.
St. Charles.
He introduced me to my wife.
So you like him?
I had a special soft spot for him.
I would think so. Big fan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I didn't have that soft spot for him because I was always packing the gear when they were still playing.
Now, I know that's not true because you always made the seniors pack the gear. I distinctly remember that one.
Okay.
I never saw you touch the equipment. You shouldn't. You were the head coach, but that's okay. So you had all those guys. Then you got into the 90s where you had Donahue and you started having like Masters and Joel Adams. And like there's a lot of guys over the years that have contributed to success. You talk about Primo at Zumwalt South. To me, was one of the guys that really pushed baseball in our conference forward, just his intensity.
Loud.
Oh, his voice carried.
And I go back to Bob. Bob and I interviewed for the job in '82.
At Howell, yeah.
At Howell. He was the sophomore coach. I was the varsity assistant. We both interviewed for it. When I got the job, brought Bob on as a varsity assistant, and I probably at that point started becoming a so much better coach at that time when Bob came in, because you talk about your hitting charts and your things and computerized. Bob had it,
Yeah.
which I think he taught you a lot of that too, because you'd see some of it, but the charts were it was unbelievable. And he came from a background. We're probably going to talk a little bit, with Lee Engert from Rittner. I mean, there are guys that
They're all Rittner boys.
exactly.
Emory was too. Wasn't he?
And
North County.
when we were, I think Francis Howell baseball was really starting to take off. And I'm going to make an excuse here right now, but when Howell North came in, we lost a left-hander to him. Do you remember
Robertson.
Chris Robertson.
And,
Oh, I know that one.
And
He was really good.
anytime we faced Howell North,
You got
that's
Robertson.
who you were going to see.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at, to be selfish, if we'd have had 2 more years there, I think we'd have been at Columbia a few more times with that. And it's easy
Absolutely.
to say that now, but
I will echo what he was saying. When I first hit the scene, I was at North when there was no seniors. That was my first year, and I was the freshman. I went to baseball, and Bobby put me with the freshmen, which was okay because I just did my thing and whatever else. I did it for 2 years, and so I had 2 years with him, and then his assistant job came open, so I applied for that, and he hired me there, which was, I moved up, and Bobby was, how can you do that? I said, well, I'm moving up,
Yeah.
So that's the only reason that, I did that. But echo what he was saying, when I get around those 2 guys, I thought I knew baseball, not until I get around those guys. I got around those guys, and I'm like, holy cow, I'm dumb. I need to figure this stuff out. I need to work harder because of all their knowledge and just their experiences, and tell stories, whatever else. But it also there's meaning behind everything they're saying, and so I was a blessing that I was able to get with them too.
Well, you had the coaches that kind of built the conference in the 80s. And I feel like in the 90s, you started having enough talent in this area that had moved in, that really started pushing baseball to where it was. Because like we mentioned the 91 team, that 91 team, I think back, I don't know how we made it to the Final Four, but I feel like it was almost an accident and a lot of left-handed curveballs. Well, technically,
good pickoff moves.
Brian
Burbis.
And that team had, with the 90 team, might have had more talent,
Katie.
Reagan.
but we didn't have that nucleus or that leadership or that unity that
Intensity.
91 team had. Jeff Fincham,
Daly, Huster.
Just
We always had a big first baseman.
but competitive.
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
saying too. They weren't. But was there a D1 player on there at that time?
Ouch, that hurts. I was on the team.
No.
So I know I was not.
But,
My sophomore year, I was not.
You Thorpe. We had speed.
No, I mean, if you look back at that team, the only one that eventually played at high level, but as a sophomore, I was not. I guess you like my brother, so
You
I
were
was on
pretty
the
good.
team. But, I made it through.
We bunted and we ran, and that was a good team.
We did bunt. Speaking of bunting, buntmaster.com.
There it is.
Well, I got to get it in.
I figured you
I got something to do. I'm retired from coaching. Anyway, but 91, 93, and on into the late 90s, we really start to shift. And I have some number. Where did I do? Hold on. I got some numbers over here for percent.
I know we won districts every odd year in the 90s, and then even 01.
And Jeff City, Tim Thompson always would complain about that.
No doubt.
Oh, he would just be so upset.
He's head coach Jeff City.
So since 1991, from 91 to 2025, GAC has been represented at the Final Four 70% of the time.
Holy cow.
There's only been a drought of 3 years, twice, and that's it. We've had streaks of 5 years in a row 3 different times. From 99 to 03, 99, whatever that is. And then there was another streak from 2013 through 16, 17. Zumwalt West was there in 17. And
We
then
were 13, 14, 16.
and then I think Zumwalt South or someone else filled in some of those. And then 21, West was there, and then Howell's been there every year since, along with Zumwalt
21,
East,
22,
Zumwalt South.
23, 24.
And then West was 25. So that's what I'm saying. Between the GAC schools, 70% of the time since that 91 team, we've been in the final. Like, this conference has represented the Final Four. That is staggering how successful. And it's just not, obviously, Howell's been there 13 times since then. 14, I don't even know what it is. But Zumwalt West has been there. Zumwalt South's been there. Zumwalt East has been there. Most teams have been to that Final Four, and it didn't shift until that 90s and the talent that came in. But
one thing I'll say about that too is, like, back in the day, and even still, I mean, if like, say, a Zumwalt East goes to a Final Four, don't think I'm not hearing from Russ Hill. You know, and you gather information by talking to coaches, and don't tell nobody we're talking. You don't tell anybody I told you this, whatever else. But people reach out, and you reach out to friends. Like, I'm sure Terry was reaching out to guys throughout.
Yeah.
And I was too. I mean, just people and people maybe would help you out. And I even contacted reporters from newspapers from other cities, and they would say, "Okay, give me your starting lineup. I'll help you, give you everything else." I said, "No problem, man. Here it is." That could change tomorrow, but
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell him that. But, and then he would give me a lot of information that really was helpful as far as averages and who bunts, who runs, and that kind of stuff. But the network that high school coaches have is really extensive, and it really has become a small world, but there's still people around. A lot of them got out this year. I'm sad about a lot of guys getting out, but I'm kind of the oldest dinosaur now. But
I don't think kind of you are.
Yeah.
But you're still having fun.
Yeah, I still like it.
So with the talent, and this is one I did want to ask you about. We've had a lot of talent in this conference since 71 on. Obviously, Roger Bandy, some guys before that. But if you were going to pick some players to start a team around, some of the guys that have just stood out, like for me, the one guy I saw the very first time I saw him, like, that guy's a professional, is Tim Melville. The first time I saw Tim Melville throw a ball, I'm like, this dude that's different. And I've seen some great players and things over the years. And I have my own list of guys that I would be like, look, if I was starting, I would want these 5, 6, 7 guys. Who are guys that you would want on that team? I it's a tough question.
I have a list here of about 40.
Mine would start with pitchers, and probably one of them I didn't coach, but 81 Todd Jerling would, he was, he was a man and a man to be reckoned with. And then you had, Paul James Hall followed by him. You had Tony Bishop that followed behind him. You got Dale Banzi, you got Mike Potoff. I really, those were some arms that, then we were going up against Boo Champagne.
Boo Champagne was phenomenal.
The Edding, Jerry Edding, and what was the left-hander from St. Charles West that just gave us
Scott Simmons?
No, through the changeup, sort of the D last name.
I'd have to think about it. Scott Simmons was also good.
Yeah, and maybe it was.
Simmons was like an 88.
Yeah.
He played for the Cardinals for many years.
Just gave us fit, similar like. But
that's the 80s. That's a lot of arms. Yeah. Boo Champagne was at St. Charles? Duchesne, yeah. St. Charles?
St. Charles.
Those guys, and I got to play EMBA baseball with a lot of those guys and see Ben Ruffcar and some of those guys I had heard the name, but then I got on the field with them, like, these guys can flat out play. Mm-hmm. Like, I was the same way. I'm like, these guys are old. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, they can hit. They can play.
And you go back to the early days like that East Missouri was a summer ball team. A lot of those guys were playing on as high school kids too. That was kind of the start of the summer program. You had Legion ball, but those guys would go out and play with.
You had Hunt, Ron Hunt.
Yeah.
Independence.
Yeah.
So if you were picking, let's just stick with pitchers since we're on the topic. He covered a lot of the guys from the 80s. Tim Morgan, I know in the 71, he had 2 no-hitters and he was really good.
Dr. Morgan.
Yeah.
But if you're moving on into the 90s to 2000, like, since then, since you started coaching.
Well, a lot of our Final Fours, we usually had at least one that was really doggone good, and most time you had 2 to 3. I mean, Cleet Davis was outstanding.
Mid-90s.
Jeff Sargent,
Oh, yeah.
24 starts in a row without a loss. I mean, that cannot be ignored.
No.
Naputi was pretty doggone good. Lefty, just recently, but those guys were, Ryan Edwards. My wife always liked him, and I said, why do you like Ryan Edwards so much? She said, well, I know when I come to a game, this is when we're dating, when she used to come all the games, but I know when Ryan Edwards is pitching, you're going to win.
Yeah, speaking of, thank you for bringing this up. Can you please explain to me how you let him schedule his wedding day on Final Four weekend? In 1991, we go to the Final Four.
Glad that wasn't a trivia question.
Oh, man. 91, we go to the Final Four.
I'll never
92, we have a good team, and we really could have got back to the Final Four. Like, we made some mistakes against Howell North. I still remember that
We
game.
would have had to reschedule.
Oh,
that.
man. 1993, we're in the Final Four again. But in 1992, our assistant coach believed so much in us that he scheduled his wedding.
I didn't know what a date was.
I was looking at that Howell website, and I saw that 91. Nothing on 92, and then went to 93, and there was nothing written in there. So we're gonna have to go back and change that 92.
Yeah.
Coach Perkins gets married at least.
I mean, that's really what it was all about. Because reschedule.
We had to
You think Tracy will let you? Tracy, she ain't letting you reschedule?
I don't know.
Not a chance.
It
Anyway,
didn't happen,
it
so-
didn't happen. And now you mentioned some Howe guys from around the conference. There's been Tankersley, that was unbelievable. Collier, Detweiler,
Collier
Melville.
was the stud, but he didn't throw a pitch in districts his senior year, which was,
Yeah, that was interesting.
Good for us because we won.
Probably had a couple of arms there too.
Schaefer.
Schaefer
Yeah.
boys, yeah. Schaefer boys, all of them.
People always ask me about Burley in high school, and I'm like, Mark Burley in high school was, he was a pitcher,
Every
but he
time I
didn't
say him,
stand.
he gets kind of derogatory towards Hal because we beat him twice his senior year.
And he was a good pitcher. But people, and I think for you younger guys that expect, hey, like these exceptional pitchers in high school always turn out to be the pro guys. Sometimes it's guys that just keep developing. Burley ended up going to JUCO, which I think was a good placement for him. And
Perfect.
he obviously developed and figured it out.
Yeah.
But, there's been a lot of pitchers. You remember Jake Powers from Howell Central? I used to hate facing him. He was not.
Jake Kostyshak from our place.
Jake
he goes to Arkansas and ends up getting drafted by the Rockies.
If there's one pitcher I'm putting on the mound today to win a game, Jake Kostyshak
We
senior
haven't
year.
even mentioned Graves.
Ventorius
made to the big leagues.
Ventorius wasn't too bad either.
Guntoris.
Yeah, that was-
Six-
yeah.
There's
6'4", wasn't he? Big
he
old dude.
ended up playing. Did he play professionally? He went to SLU.
I don't think he did. I'd have to check, but no.
James Allen was a draft. It was a shortstop and ended up being a draft. There's some super duper arms that have come through from Terry all the way through me. It's just been
And that's
it's
obviously
cool. Calvin Munson was a heck of a pitcher.
high school draft.
Yes.
Never signed, but he turned out okay.
Yeah.
Played in the NFL for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what there's so many arms that's of all the ones, and this is interesting because with pitchers, of all the players that we've had drafted in the conference, let's see, I have to click some buttons here, but we'll get there. That's the wrong one. Technology is wonderful. By position, we've had 43 pitchers that have played professionally from our conference. Now, what's crazy, since 71 till now, and I had to do a rough estimate trying to figure out, okay, the average roster in 71 was probably, 15? Like, it wasn't very big. So I was just kind of projecting a rough estimate. It came out to roughly 10,000 players that played in the GAC. Just roughly. And that was saying 18 players per team over the last couple of years, which I know Howell and some of the other ones have 20. But just trying, roughly 10,000. We've only had 76 players play professionally out of 10,000, which is 0.07%. Less than 1% play professionally.
I wonder if you check that nationally. That probably pretty close still.
And that's what, but you think about how many players, and then, you start narrowing it down more. Catchers, we've only had 4 catchers. 4. And that's, Henson.
I know one.
Your son, Henson, I would have to look and see the other ones, but it's crazy how
Nate.
elite. I have him on here as utility. He counts a catcher. I tried to put the position they played at the professional level just to be more accurate.
Okay.
But that's the stuff that, I mean, when you really think about how rare it is to get drafted, it makes it, what's crazy is a lot of these guys aren't in the GAC Hall of Fame. I mean, that's where I'm like, you're less than, you're in the top less than 1%, and they're not even in the Hall of Fame.
I'm involved with that.
No. I would think if you're one of the 76, you should probably be in that category, but
Oh, there's a lot more besides baseball.
and there's a whole lot that goes into that. But so we talk about pitchers, like what hitters have stood out over the years?
There are certain guys that I always tell people, like we used to hit inside at school all the time in the off season. If like a guy would get in there and swing, and then everybody stops and just pays attention. There's certain guys that are like that, and it's just like Preston Aldridge is one of those guys. I mean, Nate was kind of like that a little bit. But then you get into like a Sapansky or a Huster, guys like that, Matt Shark, they just stop and watch. Brett Graves was, when he walked out, he had the hit record for us when he got out of there, but those guys, when they swing and you got the whole room just stopping and watching, I mean, you got something.
I mean, going back like Kent Kaiser and those guys that hit in the 70s.
79.
Like Kaiser was earlier, but how were the hitters in the 70s, 80s, early 80s?
Well, with Kaiser, I mean, he was just a different beast. I mean,
He's a monster.
He just was strong. His confidence.
He wrestled too, correct?
He wrestled, but I mean, I didn't witness him. His senior year was my first year. But then he came back after he was released. He came back and played with us at CNH. 5 or 6 games. That's another story in itself. But you could just tell the difference. I mean, there's.
Is there any others?
But Dale, Dale Stever, Dale had that, but Dale could run also. I mean, he threw a little bit, but he was the same one. Now we weren't in a cage like indoor like you guys are today, but
didn't have the cage with the ropes on it.
Yeah, not yet. We didn't. That was. But we had 18 pulleys on that, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But 17, because one of them broke when you hit it. Or Huster hit it and broke it.
But anyway, yes, I mean, that's of those guys. But back to the guys maybe that I had early. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get to this question or not, but the 84 team.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some guys in there starting with Chris Schreck. And the story there is Chris Schreck. I mean, what he ended up hitting, but I remember as a young coach, I'm like, I'm going to straighten this kid out because he had that, Kirby bucket, leg kick.
Unorthodox.
Yeah, I'm going to get you balanced. I'm going to get you, steady. I took you from about a 350 to a 150 in about 2 weeks. And I said, okay, go back to what you're doing.
Best.
Yeah.
But, and it wasn't that, the bat ball was any different. They had great hand-eye coordination. You just knew that he and Frank Page, probably one of the best players that I coached all around. Gary Barth, same way. I mean, Barth could fly, but he could put the ball in play, and
But that's, I think, and you were talking about great hand-eye coordination. That skill translates whether it's 2025 or 1985, right. And that's what when we were talking about can players from then play now. What made them great then? They had some elite skill, whether it's speed, hand-eye coordination, arm strength, something that still translates to today. Like Paul James could pitch today, not actually at his age, but if he was here today, Kent Kaiser could hit.
And I was thinking about Josh Coors, who's got our home run record. Man, he had 14 bombs, and then he's also, a pitcher. I didn't ever start him because I brought him in at close. He had I want to say almost 15 appearances. I mean, that's kind of different nowadays too. I mean, before they have to have what was your pitch?
Did you have pitch count?
Yeah, ours was innings. We didn't. I mean, we did keep it, counts, but we kept more track on them in innings. Sometimes I was a little too quick with that too, which I'm surprised we haven't brought that up yet.
Can't bring it all up. We'll be here for 5 hours.
But, I mean, we did. We probably did more pitch count in the 90s than they did earlier. we just tried to follow innings. I forget what the
There was no rules.
Yeah, there was. It was.
I
10
can't remember.
what was it 3 days, 10 innings, I think, something like that.
So it was based on innings more than
Yeah,
pitches,
yes.
and then it switched to pitches, and I don't know.
And then we kept track of pitches, but that means the state went to it just a couple of years ago, though, didn't they? The pitch count.
Yeah,
So
it's been about-
2005-ish.
yeah, it's been a while.
I mean, it's been.
And it's nationwide.
Yes,
NFHS.
and it's
HS, yeah.
So you brought up the '84 team. Is that the best team that you feel like you coached?
I think so. You know what I'm saying? That was the best athletic team.
Yeah.
You're the 91, 93.
That's a
the
different-
91 team, again, it didn't have.
It was just a hard nosed.
I mean, and you had two left-handers that,
We
here's the ball. We had a second
Danny.
baseman, a shortstop that could field ground balls and make plays. But that '84 team with Banzi, Potoff, and Bishop, Bishop wouldn't have been part of that. I'm trying to think who our third one was there, but we went 17-3 or 4, I think. Lost to Zumwalt in the district semis, and we never got to the finals, and we hadn't completed the Parkway tournament, so we come back and played the Parkway tournament at the end of the season, and just dominated it. And again, but yeah, that was probably the best.
and that's what not the best team, especially in single elimination, doesn't always win.
Right.
And that's why I've tried to explain to people about the '08 team. That team to me was the best. I know Brett Graves. We've had a lot of talks about that, and I'm like, things happened in the state championship game. We had some injuries, and it just didn't work. But '08 to me by far is not. And I think, and when I did the numbers, I actually compared every Final Four team Howell's ever had, and I compared offense, defense, pitching, hitting, all of it. But the one category that I pointed out, and I tried to find, was that our conference opponents, what was the winning percentage of those teams against everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
In 2008,
Dang, you got a lot of time on your hands.
snow days. I called you. We talked. But in 2008, the winning percentage within our conference was 70%. Those teams that we played, that was Cody Ashe. That was like those teams, Tim Melville. In 2008, the depth of talent to me was the best I've ever seen in a year. And for that team to go, they have the highest winning percentage in Howell history, which I had to explain to Brett Schneider. He's like, we won more games. I'm like, but the '08 team had a higher winning percentage. So they won more games at 34. I think they were 30. But nevertheless, the '08 team to me, James Allen, who pitched professionally, Nate Orff, who played in the major leagues, along with a lot of Austin Beanham and Aldridge and a lot of other people on that team were, to me, the most. I think they scored, if I remember correctly, in 24 or 25 straight innings. In the Midwest Classic, we scored every inning for like 3 games. I was like, it's unbelievable.
Were you bunting much?
Yeah.
That was when we really started. When I got to Howell, it took a couple years for you to, not you, I think for us to figure out how to use bunting, like the way it's used now. Like certain situations, like I taught bunting, but it was almost like trial and error of like, hey, if a guy's on second, this third baseman doesn't know what to do. And the more you use it, the more you're like, okay.
Well, most of the time, third baseman's yelling at the pitcher, you got the line. When that happens, I'm bunting for sure.
Well, yeah. So, but I think, I got there in '02. We weren't good. And then '03 we won. And then really, it took 3 or 4 years to kind of get bunting established. Nate Orff's one of the best bunters I've had. But you still picking like 11? Which team would you pick?
I can't. We go through this every year. I always got to think I got 4 state champions.
Yeah, and I don't pick any of them.
And I know. It's unfair.
He just said 84. You didn't say
It
anything.
didn't close it. Well, that's his era. It's not mine.
I was gonna say, you said 84. No one said anything. I say 08, and it's like, well, that's not fair.
I was letting you roll. I didn't say nothing.
I'm like, well, 91, 93, we're in the Final Four, so we're better. But that's just not the reality. But so, right, you make a choice.
03, 11, 13, and 16.
03, you're not picking. I know.
No.
03 reminds me of
We
91.
had 6 sophomores on that team.
They remind me of the
We had no
91
business
team.
being there.
Your son was on that
But we
team, for
won.
those who don't know.
That's correct.
Yes.
Well,
So-
do you think we deserve to be there? You think we're going to win it? Put it that way.
In 03?
Not after Ty's arm went down in the Marquette game. I didn't think we were going to win it. I think.
Yeah.
But,
I use a lot of good guys. I threw like
No,
5
You're
guys.
still
in
dodging
two
this. So
games.
I need a year. Let's go.
I'm not doing it.
But that 03 team won a game that you shouldn't have won it. Was it Fox?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean
And-
should have
and-
won it?
and-
We
and-
won it down the third
and-
base line. They threw it away.
Yeah, but they
Timmy Evans.
Yes.
with 2 outs.
He was a great player too, by the way.
And then the Eureka game.
Bounced one off the home plate. It's great.
Yeah.
We win.
So,
They can't remember a lot of things, like
Well, I
a new
remember
email
that.
address, but they can remember in 2003 the ball being hit off home plate.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I remember.
Once
The
they
hit,
hit
I
up that
remember the
plate
hit.
so high, I started counting 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. We're state champs.
I remember the hit before that. That's what I remember.
Huh?
So I remember the hit before that. Is what I remember.
Oh, okay.
Well, the team that
And Niemeyer was out there running.
oh, he almost messed that up, but that's okay. You realize the team, the 2023, 22, 23 now has Jake McCutcheon, who's playing professionally. Titus playing professionally. Brett Norfleet would have been playing professionally, and then you had Leo, and a lot of like that talent wise, Naputi. That team's very close to up there at the top of the like McCutcheon senior year. He was as good as anyone that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And Norfleet's junior, he was impressive. But
It's nice having 6'7" at first base.
yeah,
It's a good target to have.
I enjoyed him more at the plate though.
Yeah, he dropped bombs. If he hit during the live bat area, he probably would have had over 20.
That was I tried to explain. Bats have changed. Like
Oh, yeah.
today's bats are very different than the BB core is very different than what.
When Coors hit up 14, that was a live bat era.
Yeah. Well, you went from your bats that were sticks that you got off the tree. Was it Wonder Boy?
He died.
Are you pausing? Are you pausing for Robert Redford today?
Yeah.
Did he die today?
That must have
That's
sold.
correct.
I didn't even know. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should take the time to go see The Natural. Great movie. I didn't know he passed away. What's that?
Today.
Yeah. I'm glad I referred to him and
That's
that's the
sad.
things. But you gonna pick one?
No,
Nothing.
they all got special place, man. You can't
Yeah.
take anything away from them.
Brutal.
I mean, the 14 team was just as good, and they got second.
Okay, one that you're unbiased. A team from the GAC that was not Howell that we played against or you played against. Is there a team in the conference you saw one year that you're like, that team was really good, really
No.
special?
Outside the conference, yes.
I remember the Zumwalt
Mostly MCC schools.
Zumwalt South team that one year with Grimm and Ford and those guys were really good.
We had
2010-ish.
a beat. That's when Nutzel dropped a fly ball.
They were still very good.
I know. Still pissed.
There
about
were
that.
still Wentzville had some really good teams with Melville. I think 07 they played House Central in the Final Four. But
Yeah, we led off with a home run, I think, if I remember correctly, when they're in that first inning, and then would end up 3-1, or was it worse than that?
yeah, it was
It was a
pretty
ball game.
close. But that was the Tim Melville rule. You guys ever wonder why we went to double elimination? Tim Melville. He was
I remember he was a freshman. He came in. I was like, we're going to get to him. We're going to get to him. And
No.
he just took his glove like this, peering over it, just game face on, and he didn't let up at all. 7 innings, right up our rears.
it was impressive.
It was really good. And then I talked to his mom after he graduated, and she had called me when they moved in, but she needed to live in a house near the high school. We have no houses near the high school at Francis Howell. So that's why they went out to Hope, because they could have a house right there and they could walk to school.
Do you have to live in the district to play in the district?
Supposed to.
That's a rule?
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's okay.
There's some cheaters out there.
No, never seen it. Now, obviously, we've covered a lot of the GAC, and it's changed a lot. If you were a coach starting right now, and you were taking over a program in the GAC, what advice would you give those coaches? Because you got like Justin Schmidt, who just started. You got some other guys. There is, like you were saying, there's a turnover.
Mr. Schmidt was with me for a long time, so he's got a clue how we do things anyway. I'm not saying it's the best way, but it's worked, you know. If I was talking to a younger coach, you know, I would say don't try and do too much. You know, a lot of times when you're young, you're stupid and you come rolling in with a lot of energy and that kind of thing, and that's great. You know, it's well and done, but sometimes it doesn't work. I mean, if you can just come in there with a level head and let the kids play, and when the kid needs his butt chewed, you chew his butt. That's the way it goes. You got to understand that. And that's one thing I learned after Terry got out, and I hired Ray Howard as an assistant. I said, who's going to be the good guy? Who's going to be the bad guy here? And then as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, God dang it, I got to be the bad guy now.
Yeah, that's your
Because I'm
time.
the head coach, and Ray's going to be the good guy. Because I was the good guy when I was with Terry.
I've said it many times. You were the fun coach when I was playing for you, and they were like, "There's no way." I'm like, "I'm telling you."
I think this is something we need to readdress. I don't know if we have time to do it or not, but
It's because I think it's going to be bad for me.
What do you want to address? I mean, Drew can edit this out. We can.
no, not at all. Yes, and Tony hit it, but that's going to go back to the last game that I coached. We're winning 3-1 going into the bottom of the seventh. We got St. Charles West. I mean, we're ready to win our district, and we've got a kid on the mound that's just an athlete, just a gamer, just a good kid. Well, it's Craig Burbis.
Yeah.
So I think and correct me, Tony, you got a better memory. I think if we give up a hit to 9, or we walked 9 and gave a hit to number 1, and I went and got him. Instead of, here's a kid that's a wrestler, that's an athlete, that's been,
Yeah.
and the kid I brought in, I'm not going to remember his name, but had a great year for us. I mean, I wouldn't have made the decision, I don't think. But as you look back at it, here I am thinking, well, this is what Whitey would do. This is what Tony would do. This is what Bob would do. No, let your kids play. You got you put them there. You've taught them that. The other thing I think I would say is back off of the coaching during the game. That was something that I really I think I learned it too late. I'd always want to down in the third base box. And sometimes you're trying to hey, stay in there. Don't stepping out.
Talking about mechanics or whatever.
Exactly.
That's one thing. I spoke at the clinics quite a bit. He's the reason I go to all the clinics, because he drugged me to some clinics when I was young, and I'm still going to clinics. Coach.
Well, I knew he'd go that I could go do what I needed to do. But
It's a team game.
yes.
But I talk about that. Getting back to what you said, that was a big one of my big bullet points was like practice is mine, games is yours. Okay, so if you're yelling and screaming at a kid during the game, you think it's going to make him better? I think you're wrong. Yeah. I think it's going to go the opposite way. He's going to go crawl into a shell, and he's not going to do very well. And just if you're positive about it, it's like, hey, get the next one. All right, we want the next one. You kick one at third base or whatever else. You got to stay positive with them. Now, after the game, it can be addressed. Especially the next day at practice, when you can just run them and just get tired of it. You all made mistakes. We're all going to run. There's nothing wrong with punishing people. It's part of life, and that's nowadays people don't like that. They don't like that. They shouldn't be punished. I say, well, they screwed up. They got to suffer the consequences. I have what we call boneheads. They screw up and they just take off, run 2 pulls, and they know it because boneheads are in effect. And if they do that, they learn.
Oh, there's how, and me and Eric and me and Golf, me and Beckman both talk. The coach's personality dictates how you discipline. Like, your personality is going to come out in a way that has to work for you. You can't try to be someone you're not. Like, the way he disciplined, the way you discipline are different, but they were effective. So as long as you understand you have to set boundaries, and then you have to have consequences when they cross that, how that looks is going to look different for every program. But yes, there has to be accountability for your actions.
We've gotten away from the gauntlet. Terry used to get guys in trouble, and he goes, I'd go out there and I'd just stand.
Yeah, I used to go out there and do the gauntlet. Thank you.
Gauntlet. I haven't done that for a while.
I did it once.
Did you do it again?
Oh, I didn't do it again. I shouldn't have done it the first time, but it's okay. I need it.
I guess Bill has done that. He didn't call it the gauntlet, but that's a good one. We used to do that all the time.
I'm assuming you're talking about the fungo.
No, that's when they run to the center field. They do like 15
whatever.
Push-ups, and then they go to the other foul line. They do jumping jacks.
Well, that's something I picked up at the clinic, or you picked up, I think.
I don't know, probably at the clinic.
I remember probably the toughest one in George Hill is who I learned this from. I wasn't Burbis, but he would take a fungo bat sits in right behind second base, center field, and you'd start in left field. He'd fungo it to right field, just for you to run, just far enough to catch it. You know what I'm saying?
That's a long way.
That's why I thought you were talking about it's a gauntlet. I don't remember.
It's just poles, but there's
There's exercises.
Each foul falling in the middle.
Well, that's, I mean, like we've talked about the last couple of weeks, you learn from the coaches that you've had. I mean, from George Hill to Jerry Burbis, all these guys, like, I learned from you. Like, you learn. And I think the advice I would give, like, after watching this, I don't know, I coached 25, 26 years, whatever it was, get around coaches that know what they're talking about and pick their brain. Like, everyone does it differently, and there's different ways to do it. You got to figure out what works for you.
And let them coach.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think, I didn't have a huge staff, but I'm going to mention a name we haven't mentioned yet. But we brought in Bill Todd as a pitching coach. And, I mean, unfortunately, we lost him too soon. But I think, our Francis Howell baseball would have wrote another story, too, of him
being able to
do. What Tony and Bobby, I turned the infielders, pretty much over to those guys. I just stayed out of the way. I remember telling Bob Donahue, said, hey, just, make sure they show up on time and they're ready to play. Because the other side of that 84 group, they were characters too.
Henri.
But they were, so
that
good guy coach at that time was a great time for him to be there.
One of them has to have a closer relationship than the other. And that was, I feel like that was always my role because I was at school. Like, there are a lot of times I'm sitting talking to your sons, and I'm like, look, your dad still loves you just because he's yelling.
Justin never thought so.
Oh, he told you that too? No. But that was the nice part. And I told these guys earlier, I got to coach all of Coach Kasper's. I got to coach Casey and Tyler, and I got to coach Justin, Ryan, Zach, Nick. Like, I got to coach their kids after they coached me. And it's been so much fun being back at Howell and it's a small circle of baseball's like you were talking about, it's a small circle that always comes back around. And
getting back to the, young coaches, the clinic thing is big. You think you know something till you sit in there with a bunch of sessions and you listen to people like Terry talk. Terry talked about base running and God dang, 1990, 91, 92. So,
do they still use 4 bases?
Who talks about base running at that time?
Yeah.
Nobody.
But
he broached that subject.
But 91, I think the thing we did better than anyone was base running.
Yeah.
We picked up a lot of bases.
He's talking about leadoffs and breaks and things like that. But even when golf first started at Zumwalt West, he would call me all the time. And he wanted to know, hey, Perk, how you do this? How you do that? What do you do in this situation? He was always bending my ear. And unfortunately, I helped him. But, that's what goes on.
Well, he listened.
You're right. And I would tell young guys, go to clinics, hang around the guys that are good. When there's a speaker, there's always an opportunity to talk to that guy afterwards. If you've got questions or you're unclear on something, you follow that dude out, man. Get into a little room and sit in the hallway or whatever you're going to do. But you can really get better and learn because, heck, I'm 64 years old. I'm still learning. I'm still going to clinics. I still want to learn. I'm eager. And a lot of times it's like, that's good stuff. I used to do that. I don't know why I don't do it anymore. Maybe I need to get back to it. I've that's flipped it around and gone through, full circle. It's just the drills and everything else. There's just so many. How do you run a practice, man? What do you do if a kid's late? What do you do if a kid's got his hat on backwards? He rolls in. We have consequences for those at our place. If you're going to run around in shorts and your hat backwards, we had a problem. That's just depends on how you want to run your program.
Yeah, it's different. Nick Beckman sat here and talked about, like, they have to carry their uniforms on a hanger. Like, everyone has their own little thing, but to me, it always gets back to the head coach has to take a lot of pride in the program, and they can't let the standard drop below their standard of excellence. However that looks for them, because we've seen different coaches. Charlie Meeker at St. Charles went to how many Final Fours, and his approach was completely different than any other coach I've ever been around.
Absolutely.
And he followed Larry Sheeny.
What I was talking about. Beach Day?
Oh, Beach Day, yeah. But they would let me, they'd just rub it in on me, because we'd have the kids wearing sleeves up to 80 degrees or whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And
It's 92, 3/4.
Yeah.
I remember you railing the team after, you guys just got beat by a team that doesn't wear shirts at practice. Are you kidding me?
And that's
But they had a pretty good pitcher on the mound too, so I would just making excuses. They beat us. But back to the clinic thing, and we'll probably run out of time. But I didn't go as many clinics early in my career, but I watched coaches who I competed against, and a couple of those, Bob Swift at Lafayette.
Oh,
you
yeah.
went and played
He's a legend.
Lafayette, you could judge what type of team you had. I mean, you just knew that. So you go in there and just hopefully you were prepared, but you would learn it and learn from watching from them. One of the guys that I won't admit it, but who was that way also is Mike Ziegler at Parkway Central. What a character, but man,
Now he did try to recruit me,
yes, yeah.
and he had some good teams. Isaac
had some-
Bird and
yeah.
Scherzer.
But Charlie Gately was at Lindbergh. But what I'm saying, but I think that coaching clinic really started going in Columbia around those guys back in those,
that started kind of in the 80s.
in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Because it was bouncing around to high schools
Right,
at first, and then we settled into Columbia for numerous years. Now we're at the lake.
But I remember, Bob would always talk about, at Rittner with Coach Anger, just the little things. I mean, he had, take care of the little things, big things that will take care of themselves sometimes. But, if you're doing the little things, it's just those type of things. And just a story with Bob Swift. I don't know if I think I've told Tony this one. When we qualified for the Final Four for the first time, I went, before we get ready to go to Columbia that week, I went to my mailbox up at Howell to get my mail one morning, and I open up and I see an address to me, and I can see it had Lafayette, baseball. So I opened it up, and it was from Bob Swift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Bob Swift says, "Congratulations, Coach Kasper, on your team making the Final Four." He said, just goes to prove my philosophy. They're great players can overcome poor coaching at any time. So what I'm getting at is, it was, and he meant it with heart, but he wasn't, he got you there, but unfortunately, I think they beat us that first game that year too. But
yeah, I think another thing is just be present. Be there, be on time. I always say I'm the first one there and the last one to leave, and I'm pretty much still doing that.
One day you didn't.
Yeah, and I was waiting for that story. I was hoping you wouldn't bring it up.
Yeah,
I wasn't a head coach either, but
I remember some story about losing, and see, now we're sidestepping things. So there was a loss. Coach Kasper is talking to the team.
He was already talked about the game.
And
I thought it was
as he's talking, where was Coach Perkins at?
In 1990, I think it was Coach Perkins' first year, if I remember correctly, because I remember.
No, it was your last year.
No,
last game.
No,
that's why I was so
Brian,
pissed.
No, Brian Burbis.
See, we aren't the only ones that bicker.
Brian Burbis was the one who told me about this, because at the end of the season, I would always, and of course, we ended it with either a semi-loss or a district championship. And, man, it just was a tough one. So I got done talking, and I turned to the coach and said, "Coaches, anybody got anything to say? Gonna go Coach Perkins?" And Brian Burbis is sitting beside me. He goes, "Coach, I don't think he's going to be able to say anything." He was pulling out on Central School Road right now. He's leaving. He's leaving.
I was hot. I would have regretted anything I said. I would have regretted.
But no, and back to that, I tell you what, I can't say enough for Coach Perkins. I mean, he brought in and you got the experience, but he brought in a determination and a
intensity
with our staff when he came, and I think really changed the culture a lot for Francis Howell baseball. So, like I always tell people, they said, "Well, you were the Howell coach Perkins coach for you," and I said, "Well, yeah, he did, but they said he's taken it to another level." And congratulations.
Thank you.
No, you will be out this spring. For those who don't know, you should break the Missouri State record for wins. So
Should live that long.
Well, don't be saying that. Good Lord, we're trying to keep you alive over here. It's okay.
Like when I got the job, Roger Hodap was the AD, and he asked, Terry came went and talked to him. This is a story I got from you, but it said that is Tony the right guy? And you said, just look what we've done since he's been there, and I think that was good enough. And he brought me in and said, he goes, "Congratulations, you're new head coach," and I was juiced. And he said, I got to tell you one thing, though. He goes, "I don't know anything about baseball." He goes, "You just tell me what you need and you'll get it." I go, "This is going to be good."
It's the wrong thing
And
to say
was.
to you.
He was really backed me the whole time he was there. Just beautiful man.
it has been. That's why I was excited to come on and talk to you guys. And when both of you said you'd do it, I was thrilled because I have learned so much from. And I think talk to Beckman, talk to Golf the first 2 weeks doing the show, and the thing that they talk about a lot is having those relationships. And although the relationships I have with you guys look different than the relationships with the players now, a big reason why I wanted to have close relationships with the players now is because I needed, and I came from a dysfunctional home where you guys in a lot of ways were you taught me how to be a man in a lot of ways and accountability and things that I wasn't getting elsewhere. And I appreciate that so much. And I think that's why coming back and being able to coach your kids and at least give something back to you through your kids has meant so much to me. And I mean, I know a lot of times over the years we've butted heads, but I still love you deeply. I respect you and I appreciate all you've done for me.
Thank you for that. But you are, as a coach, a father figure to a lot of them. You know, a lot of those guys don't even have a father, you know, and you're the guy. You're the stable thing in their lives. I mean, we've kept a couple kids we had no business keeping, but we did it on purpose to save that kid from getting in any kind of trouble, which could have easily gone down that path.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, I saw Andy Roney this spring, and he came up, and Andy Roney's a great guy and one of the great players from that 2003 team, first baseman. And he, at the time, and he would say, was making some decisions that weren't the best for him. But to see him now and see how successful he is and come back and just thank us for believing in him means the world.
I can't believe he's a lawyer right now.
That's,
no way that was going to go
I would have
on in
lost
high
money.
school.
Roney, if you're listening, man, I would have lost money. I told you that. I would have lost money on that one. But there's so many guys that we've had over the years that's I talk about. The development on the field is one thing. That's what the kids want. The development off the field is what the coach sees because we know what's best for them long term. And you making me run gauntlets or see me against St. Charles West was lessons I need to learn that had nothing to do with baseball, and I didn't realize that at the time.
It's so neat, the relationships that you have with the kids, you know, and then you get invited to a wedding or you get invited to
I mean,
these
Brett Graves
things,
just
you know.
left here.
I just got a text from B.J. Brinkman, you know, this morning, had a picture of his signing. It was with Ron Hunt in Hodap's office, you know, and that's the kind of things that I really cherish.
The relationship is the thing that carries on well past, and Golf talked about it last week. It's like when they graduate, they're only graduating from baseball. They're not leaving me. They're just leaving the school. And, I mean, we've seen over the years, Nate Orff and Brett Graves, our former players, is who I trust my son with to learn how to play the game.
I'm coaching for them.
Yeah. Full circle. But anyway, if you're still watching,
wake up.
Just you really like one of us, your family. You love how there's something, but I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Hopefully there's something within this. Maybe you broke up into 2 segments. Maybe Drew can do that for us, or who knows. But it is the lessons you learn through this game go far beyond the field, and don't lose sight of the game's great, but the relationships that you build through it, whether it's, I mean, I'm very fortunate to have my former coaches here that I still have relationships with. I still love dearly and I still appreciate. That's what it's all about, and we've seen with our players. But hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, well, we had fun. And that's really why I was doing this. So on the button down below, that subscribe thing, push that. These guys probably couldn't find it, but I'm sorry, it was an old joke. I took a shot again at the AOL, but that's okay.
He's honest.
Well, you know what?
I
I took
know
a
that
lot.
button is.
I know I took a lot over the years from you guys, but that's okay.
I promised myself one thing. I promised to make it short, but I promised myself on my way up here that I was going to mention something else.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank, I think we owe a lot to our wives
Oh.
of the time that we have given to kids and given to people, but that they have either sacrificed or made things work at home or do things, you know. And I just, you know, at the golf tournament the other week when I was at the golf tournament, I mean, Tracy was, you know, and then daughter-in-laws and everybody was just, you know, helping. But just the times, though, that, you know, they've been there for you, either that tough loss or, you know,
Hey, you always say don't bring it home. That never happens. You bring it home. I do anyway.
Yeah, you after loss is not.
I just need to go somewhere by myself.
But that support system, there's no doubt. My wife has been wonderful. Your wife is a saint. I mean, I've seen Tracy do so much for the program over the years. It's unbelievable. The one thing I know she wouldn't have done is reschedule your wedding, though. But now we're gonna have to tell the wives, though, you have to wait to the end to hear that we.
Hey, June 6th, man. I know the date.
I'm glad you know the date now. But anyway, so hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it. I know there's a lot of people that we've mentioned a lot of names. If you know those people, share this with them. I mean, there's a lot of names from the GAC over the years that we've enjoyed competing against. We've coached, we've whatever, and obviously we couldn't name all of them. There's a million of them. But the GAC means a lot to us. We poured into the GAC since, he was there from the beginning, and Perkins might be here to the end of it. I don't know.
Or the end of me.
I was going to say, till death do us part. And I've been asked many times, I'm like, he'll be at third base. If he goes down, I'll pick him up.
I like it.
I know. Lafayette last year, though, or 2 years ago, we're just sorry. Appreciate you watching. Please come back next week. I promise I'll keep it under hour and 25, but appreciate you watching. Have a great day.